Lance's life. Dinner. The next night, Lance pulls over onto the side of the road of the street. He grabs his black bomber jacket, puts it on, and gets out of the car, staring up at his parents' brownstone. Lance closes his door and walks up to the door of the apartment and rings the doorbell. Within seconds, Lance's mother Lacey is greeting him and inviting him inside. Lance steps into the house and instantly feels a wave of nostalgia. The last time he was there, a bad thing had happened. "Lance, how are you, son?" Lance's father, Alex, asks Lance loudly while pulling him into a big hug. Alex wastes no time asking Lance if he's got a girl in his life yet. "You asked me this on Christmas, Dad," Lance says and attempts to answer him, but not before Anna chimes in. "Of course not. He's too wrapped up in being the armored Arachnid," Anna says, teasing Lance. Lance's dad smirks at Anna before Lance mentions that he hasn't exactly found anybody yet. "Oh, come on, honey. There's got to be someone," Lacey says while setting the table. "Exactly, Lance. What about that girl with the pretty eyes who you met when you were trying to track powder drum?" Alex asks Lance. Lance looks at his father and, as if surprised, says, "Annika?" Lacey laughs and grins at Alex. "He has that look in his eye," she says. Lance lets out a chuckle. "Okay, what about that Archer girl who has a golden retriever?" Anna asks Lance. Lance's eyes widen for a second, but he tries to hide it. "Look, it's not like that. Kay and I are just friends," Lance says, looking at his family. "Sure you are, son. For now, that is," Alex says, smiling while patting Lance's shoulder. Lance's family sits down and starts eating. Lance's mom cooks spaghetti and meatballs. Lance starts eating first, and Lacey can tell that he's missed the home-cooked meals. She tells Lance that he's always allowed to come home for dinner, but Lance declines, saying that she already has to cook for his father, sister, and herself, and tells her that he doesn't want to add to the weight of what she already does. Anna suddenly interjects and asks if Lance had decided on his next color scheme. "You know, I was thinking red, gold, and black," Lance says. Alex looks at Lance with a puzzled glare. "I thought you settled on the blue and gold," Alex says. "Well, according to the Armored Arachnid fan page, the suit makes me look like I've been hanging around Thor," Lance replies. "How about red and gold, son?" Lacey says softly. Lance's eyes shoot down, and it looks as if he's sad, and then suddenly shakes his head. "I'll figure it out," he says. After a few more minutes, the family finishes eating, and Lacey calls everyone into the family room for an announcement. "Your father and I have decided that we need a change, so we've bought Uncle Connor's old house from your aunt." Lance and Anna look at their mother in disbelief. Lance squints at his mother and as if trying to see if she's being honest with them. "So we're going to be moving to West End in New Rochelle next month," Alex says excitedly. Lance's eyes widen, realizing that his parents are telling the truth. "What?" Anna says softly. "What about my friends and my school?" Lance looks over at Anna and gives a sad look. "Look, sweetheart, I know this seems insane to you. Plus, you're just about to start high school in 7 months. Fresh school, fresh start. This could be a good thing." Alex is attempting to get Anna to see the positive side of things. "No!" Anna says. "No, it won't." Lance hears Anna's voice break, and he knows what's about to happen. Anna suddenly gets up and walks upstairs to her room. "Anna, wait," Lacey says, but Anna's already up the stairs. "Maybe I should talk to her. If I talk to her, it might make her feel better," Lance says. Alex puts his arm around Lacey and motions for Lance to go ahead. Lance reaches the top of the stairs and hears Anna sobbing. Lance walks into Anna's room and sits down beside her. "Anna, don't cry. It's going to be all right," Lance says softly. "You don't get it, Lance," Anna says in between sobs. "Yeah, I do actually. You're scared that your friends are going to forget you, and vice versa, right?" Lance says. Anna stops sobbing and nods her head while wiping some tears away. "Well, I understand. Even recently, it feels like I lost a friend. Can't quite put my finger on it. I'm not sure, but the feeling is lingering," Lance says. "But you just hang on to them, tight. They'll hang on to you," Lance says while putting his hand on Anna's shoulder. Speak of the heat seeker. Lance Barada's color combos on his couch while watching the news. He thinks about Anna's reaction to the news of his family moving the night before. These last couple of years have been pretty difficult for her, Lance thinks to himself. Suddenly, his phone gets a call and Lance answers instantly. "Ransu wa tashi no toko wa do desu ka?" Hiro asks Lance. Lance chuckles. "Everything's great, man," he replies. Lance asks Hiro how Japan's treating him. "Feels good to be home, and the heat seeker is a big hit in Yokohama," Hiro says, smiling proudly to himself. "Speak of the heat seeker, did you reach the goal?" Lance asks, tilting his head. 149 crimes, Hiro says smugly. "You beat me by 16, Lance says. "How many has Annika gotten?" Lance asks. I don't know. I'm going to call her later, Hero says. You know, I'm going to be in first place constantly after I get deputized, Lance says matter-of-factly. Hero raises his eyebrow in surprise. Deputized, he says. Yeah, I'm going to go talk to NYPD about it today, Lance replies. Streets of New York getting a bit hot? Hero asks. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to flatten the curve. Spidey's helping, but I'm supposed to be there when he's not, Lance tells him. Well, if the streets are getting hot, you gotta remember the heat doesn't bother me. I seek it. Don't be surprised if I pop up in New York City one day. Hero laughs. Lance shakes his head and chuckles. I'll see you later, man. I gotta head out, Lance says. Hero agrees and the two hang up. Lance looks down at his phone and puts it in his pocket before popping up out of his chair and running to his room. Anna sits at her desk drawing while Alex tries to explain to her the upside of their move. Tells her about the reason of their move. 28 years, Anna. That's how long we've lived in New York City as a family. Change is good. Better to move to New Rochelle. Anna looks at her dad but doesn't say anything and continues drawing. Have you told your friends the news? Alex asks Anna. Anna shakes her head no. Well, you probably should, Alex says coldly before getting up and walking out of Anna's room. Lance swings past the buildings and slingshots himself forward before doing a corkscrew spin and catching himself with a web, before swinging around a corner. Lance finally lands in front of the police station and looks up at it. Let's get down to business, he says to himself. He walks up to the stairs to the doors of the station and walks in. The officer at the front desk's eyes widen. The armored Arachnid! No way. Lance smiles under his mask. I'm here to speak to the chief of police. Is he here? Lance says before getting cut off. Well, it's the armored Arachnid. How are you? The police chief asks while walking out of his office, extending his hand for a handshake. Chief Jackson, he says to introduce himself. Lance shakes the chief's hand firmly, and the chief invites him to his office. Lance sits down on the opposite side of the desk, and the chief explains to Lance why they are attempting to deputize him. Crime in the Big Apple is racing pretty high, and as you know, we're trying to flatten the curve, but we need a bit more muscle. Spider-Man was on our list, but he always swings away before we can talk, the chief says. Basically, you swing closer to the ground, if you know what I mean, he adds. Lance nods his head. I understand that. What are the terms? Lance asks. Well, they're all in here, the chief says while sliding Lance a folder. Lance opens the folder and reads it silently. Okay, I'll do it, Lance says. Lance and the chief walk out of the office and see most of the cops in the station run into the parking garage to grab the patrol cars. Lance looks around in confusion. Baker! The police chief yells to another officer that is running by. What's going on? He asks. A hostage situation, sir. Queens College. The young officer replies back before running off. It's pretty far off from here. Dang it, the chief says. A convoy of 11 different police cars runs through the streets. Lance swings alongside the cars and wonders if they will get there in time. Suddenly, after swinging around another corner, Lance sees 4 riot trucks accompanied by a helicopter. Thinking quickly, Lance swings out of the helicopter and web zips to the side of it and holds onto the railing. He looks left to see street SWAT officers looking at him wide-eyed. He laughs to himself and waves. They finally arrive at the college campus, and it's obvious which building the hostages are in. The SWAT team helicopter and Lance propel down into the courtyard, while the SWAT vans and cars pull in. The chief drives in front of everyone and gets out holding a megaphone. This is the chief of police. We have the building surrounded, the chief says through the megaphone. He turns around and looks at Lance. Hey, take 6 to the SWAT team and head around the right side, the chief says. Lance nods. You 6, go with him, the chief yells to the SWAT officers. And take this, he says to Lance as he gives him a walkie-talkie. Lance takes it and turns it on. Stay on channel 5, the chief says. Please, don't. I have a family. One of the hostages pleads, sounding as if he's on the verge of tears. Did I ask about your family? Do you think I care about your family? The gunman says while holding an MP5 to the hostage's head. Get up, get out, the gunman says before withdrawing his gun and motioning the hostage to leave. The hostage gets up quickly and begins to run, before the gunman quickly raises his gun and fires one shot at the hostage's lower back, paralyzing him. The hostage tries to get up and continue to run, but the gunman fires another shot at the hostage's neck, killing him. The other hostages watch in terror. Lance and the SWAT officers hear the shots ring out as they bust through the side door, running to where they heard the sound from. The chief gets on the megaphone again. Listen, we are ready to meet Alyssa's demands, but you cannot hurt any more hostages, he yells sternly while trying to reason with the gunman. Lance and the SWAT officers run through the hallway before finally getting to the library where the hostages are being kept. What's the plan? One of the officers asks. Les looks at the door and pushes it open an inch. He sees the hostages being moved to a different room and quickly formulates a plan. I'm going to sneak in and follow the hostages. You guys count to 20, count to 30, and head into the room. The officers look at each other and nod. Okay, see you guys outside, Les says. He shoots a web at the ceiling vent and pulls it down. A SWAT officer helps boost Lance into the vent and Lance crosses through the vents, following the hostages. We're here live at Queens College where a hostage situation is taking place at this very moment, a young red-haired news reporter says. The crowd of onlookers behind the barriers watch as police move around the building. Lance continues to crawl through the vents and suddenly hears the hostages stop walking. Lance finally realizes why they were walking. Death march, he says quietly to himself. He drops out of the vent and Lance before quick drawing a stun gun and shooting the gunman. The gunman falls to the ground and Lance runs to the hostages and frees them. Chief, Lance says to the walkie-talkie, I need a team to escort these hostages to safety, Lance says sternly. The chief grants Lance's wish and tells him a team is on their way to the given location. Lance nods his head and radios into the SWAT team. Lieutenant O'Reilly, come in, Lance says. TAA, this is Lieutenant O'Reilly. What is your status? The lieutenant asks in return. The hostages are saved and are being escorted out, Lance answers. Great work. We'll do a final sweep of the building to make sure there aren't any other hostages, the lieutenant says. Copy that, over and out, Lance says before shutting off his walkie-talkie and walking back to the chief.